There we go. All right, now it's official. So let's start right out of the top and let's demystify sales and selling. Selling is serving. Period. End of conversation. One of the things that people do is they get wrapped around the axle that in fact, oh no, if I have to sell something, I'm get over yourself. Here's the fact. Selling is serving. Why do I say that? Because sales is only four words: identify problem, provide solution. That's all it is. And what happens typically is people get very wrapped around the axle. They get all enamored with their own solutions because everybody needs their solution because their solution is the best solution. Why did they come up with the solution? They probably came up with the solution because it solved their issue. And so if it solved their issue, obviously everybody else has the same issue. Not so much. The fact is you might have the greatest solution on the planet. Your solution, hear my heart, is irrelevant. Let that settle in for a second. Wait a second. A sales guy's telling you my product's irrelevant? Absolutely. Your product is totally irrelevant. Your product is not what serves anybody. The benefits your product delivers is what serves people. And that's where people get really caught up in the entire sales process. Sales is a transfer of emotion and a transfer of information to provide a solution to another person. You know, everybody is selling every minute of every day. That's a pretty dramatic statement. So I would expect you to have me prove it. Okay, prove it. Okay, I will. How many of you have ever been on a date? You made a sale. How many of you have ever put a kid to bed? You've made a sale. How many of you are married? You're better at this than you think. You were the product. See, the fact of the matter is we're all selling every minute of every day. We just haven't framed it in our minds that way. And the minute that we frame it that way, it changes everything. Because if in fact selling is serving, now wouldn't you want to serve more often? Of course you would, because you want to deliver a solution to people's challenges. So the entire selling process, and many people don't recognize this. Many people have never been taught this. Many people have never thought of this. But the selling cycle is a seven-step process. And these seven steps exist whether you recognize them or not. They just do. Now, here's the beauty. If you learn them and you understand how to utilize them, the seventh step leads back to the first step. That's why it's a cycle. And so there are different people in different cycles. As an example, people ask me sometimes, Scott, how did you get on the Get Motivated stages where you're speaking in front of 25,000 people? Oh, it was easy. Are you kidding me? I was asked to speak at an event in Dallas. They expected 250 people there. There ended up being 750 people. Now, that's an interesting problem for the promoter. Well, after I finished speaking, I said, hey, you don't have enough people working the back of the room. I live here in Dallas. Why don't I work the back of the room for the rest of the weekend? He said, I can't afford to pay you. I said, when did I ever ask to be paid? I asked to be able to serve. He said, awesome. So I did. We had an amazing weekend. 5 years later, Marina Inn, Sarasota, Florida, the same person, the same promoter walks into the room that I'm selling a $4,000 product from stage. I say, hey, Rick, how you doing? He said, you remember me? I said, yeah, we spent that great weekend together at the Hotel Intercontinental in Dallas. No, it wasn't like that. I mean, we had this great event, right? He said, you remember all that? Of course I do. 5 years later, he was responsible for putting people on the stages at Get Motivated. He, the founder, and the president all wrote down who's the best speaker in the country not speaking on our stage. They all wrote down a name. They wrote it, folded it in half. They prayed over it. They opened it up. All three had my name written down. They called me and said, God says you're supposed to be speaking here. I said, who am I to argue with God? I was a 10-year overnight sensation. Now, do you think I would have liked that sales cycle to be shorter? Of course I would. But the fact is, today's activity does not determine today's volume. Today's volume is determined by what you did 30, 60, 90 days ago. Today's activity determines what happens 30, 60, 90 days from now. If you're not doing enough business today, it's not typically because of today. It's what you didn't do in the past. We can't change the past. Let's stop living there. This is a point of demarcation. Today is the day where things can improve. Notice I didn't say things can change. They can change, but people resist change. People love improvement. Language is part of sales. So we want to improve your sales going forward. Now, remember I said there's 7 steps: prospecting, marketing, qualifying, presenting, objection handling, closing, and gaining referrals. It's a cycle. We first have to prospect. Now, in the world, there are prospects and there are suspects. The difference is simple. A prospect actually has need for what you do. A suspect fogs a mirror. There's a difference. Not everybody needs what you do. And so to take them from suspect to prospect is first understanding that somebody has a need. The second is then we market to them. Market is when we announce our existence to them. In other words, for the first time, we've identified they have a potential need that we can solve. We let them know that we are a potential solution provider to that. That's called marketing. The third step is qualifying. Qualifying is simply asking people, what's their greatest challenge? How would their life be improved? How would their business grow? So I'm a process trainer. What's a process question? It's a question that can be used anywhere with a fill in the dot, dot, dot. If you could improve one thing in your dot, 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 what would it be? If you could improve one thing in your business, what would it be? If you could improve one thing in your finances, what would it be? If you could improve one thing in your relationship with your significant other, what would it be? Do you understand? It's a process. Qualification is finding out the prospect's challenge. Okay, prospecting, marketing, qualifying, only in the middle, the fourth of 7 steps, for the first time do we present what we have. It's halfway through the sales cycle. Have you ever seen anybody show up and throw up? Right? They come into a meeting and they just start going. And it's like, you lost me at hello. You know, there's no heart, there's no care, there's no concern. We don't present until we have enough information to make it a viable presentation. That's the one thing that most people do. Premature presentation. People don't like premature anything. Don't do it. It just doesn't make any sense, right? The fifth step is objection handling. Oh, I don't want anybody to ever ask a question about my offer. Oh, I get so upset when why? See, if they've got a question, they ain't buying until that question is solved, period. And an unearthed objection is still an objection. Just because they haven't said it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means they haven't said it. So if they're thinking it and not revealing it, and you think you've given the greatest presentation in the history of ever, and all of a sudden they go, yeah, no. And you go, wait a second, I just gave an award-winning presentation and they're not, they just weren't qualified in the first place. No, they probably were. You just didn't find out what they wanted to hear. It's not on them. If somebody says no, it's not on them. It's on you. It's on the presenter. So now we handle an objection. I welcome objections. People sit there and many times I call it sales yelling. What's sales yelling? Somebody objects to something, so they say the exact same thing they just said. They just say it louder, right? Like you're talking a different language and they didn't hear it in the first place. No, they heard it in the first place. It didn't move them at all. So why saying it twice, except the second time louder? How is that going to change anything? You know who knows why they're taking an action or not taking an action? Them. So what do? You simply ask them some very tricky question like, oh, what's holding you back? They're the ones who know that. So now that's objection handling. Now we get through the objection and now we ask them a very clever closing question. Like, based on everything you've seen so far, what do you think? That's your closing question? Yeah, if you do it right. Because if they understand how what you've presented solves their problem, that's all it should ever take. So what do you think? I think it's awesome. Yeah, me too. Let's write it up. And then the seventh step is asking and gaining referrals. The time to get a referral is at the time of the most current positive transaction. You say, so what do you think? They say yes. You say, let's write it up. Hey, you know what, Robert? While we were doing this, I got to thinking, might you know anybody that a similar solution could help? Now, Robert either says yes or no. If he says yes, I say, great. Could I have their contact information? If he says no, I say, can we in fact circle back if somebody comes to mind? Of course. And see if they give you that referral, that now takes you back to step number one, which is a prospect. So that's a really quick explanation of the seven steps. Now you're going, Scott, this is about AI. You haven't said bupkis about AI yet. Well, I was trying to lay the foundation here. So where could you use AI? Well, in prospecting. The one thing that AI will not do in sales, if you truly want to protect yourself as a quality professional salesperson, it will never have empathy, it will never have compassion, and it will never have a personal relationship. Okay, those are the three nevers. But here's what it does do very well. It accumulates information. So if you can identify your prospect, not suspect, suspect is anybody who fogs a mirror. A prospect is anybody who has genuine need for your solution. So if you can truly identify your avatar, who has genuine need for what you do, then basically you can use AI to do instant prospect research. Instead of taking 15 to 30 minutes to cultivate a lead, you use AI to summarize the prospect's company. What's the management level? Who does he report to? Who are these different things? Because now AI can assimilate all that information for you very quickly. You can identify the pain points to the industry. If uh, if let's say you wanted to find out who would like more revenue in their business, you can actually query AI with AI and prompt and say, who needs more revenue in this market segment? And it can develop that information for you. So again, it can it can supercharge your prospecting. You can draft personalized outreach approaches. I used to sit and personally write different um, introductory emails or different things. Now I take what's the best way to approach someone in this particular industry. It flips something out. Okay, now compress that into, half the words. Boom, let it do it. The point is, AI has the ability to assimilate information and perfect outbound approach. So that's your whole prospecting side. It does a really solid job of generating outbound emails. So if your bullet points when you present what you do, Nikki, I've heard you present about mindset and so many things. If you were to take those bullet points and now put them in and say, how can I maximize these bullet points in an introductory email? Boom, it can give it to you. Summarize this company. Suggest 3 opening questions for our initial call is a potential prompt to tell it. So it can now give you ways of sharing things. Again, in the prospecting side, you can say, what are the greatest public or what are the greatest challenges this organization has expressed publicly, right? So now if somebody says, you know, uh, tariffs are killing us, da 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 da. Let's say that they list 3 different things, and that piece of information is pulled. Now in your outbound, you can ask AI to write an outbound that addresses people having problems with tariffs, people having problems with delivery schedules. Do you understand? You get AI to pull the intel, and then you have AI craft your email to your outbound, which now addresses the intel that it pulled. Now, let me slow down for a second. That's exactly the way we've always done it, except who's the person who pulled all the intel? Me. Researching LinkedIn, researching articles, reading blogs, doing stuff. The one thing that AI does in the sales process, again, keep yourself the most human you can possibly be. Become a better human. If you want to become a better salesperson, become a better human. Let AI do the research and start to assimilate things. You can use it for outbound emails. You could actually ask it for LinkedIn messages. Provide me uh, social media posts regarding this topic. Again, these are all things. So we go from prospecting to marketing. So now we start asking it, okay, so we identify our customers' problems. We use AI to identify the customer's problems. And now that we have this list of problems, we give it to AI and say, how would I write us or create 10 social media posts to solve these problems? And all of a sudden, do. Now, second sidebar and timeout. Just because it gives you stuff, don't just take it and post it. It's got to be you. Remember, this is about you being more human. And there are things, I say things I'm pretty sure nobody on the planet says, because I say some pretty dumb things sometimes. I say fun and weird things like I just did, right? I'm not trying to be, but I'm me. So there are things that I say that I want to make sure that the voice of these posts sound like me. In other words, we want to make sure that that happens. Now, the other thing that you can have done with your AI then is it can actually create templates that you can go back in. I have a number of templates that I use when I research people, and I want to, when I'm helping people craft messages, we want to speak to the emotions of people, not to the logic. People buy emotionally. People justify logically. So you actually have to have both in your sales presentation. But the hook, and think of what a hook looks like. That's exactly what it is. A hook is the thing that you throw out for somebody to go, huh, I want to listen to what Nikki's saying. I want to listen to what Lena's saying. The hook is the thing that grabs them. And it's typically not about your product. People try to make things so much about their products. It's not about your product. If you want to really expedite your sales, believe that one thing that I'm telling you. It's not about your product. It's about the problem you solve and how well you do that. Okay. Is this helping so far? Or am I just rambling? Okay, cool. Not cool that I was rambling, cool that it's helping. Okay. You can use, so I created Scott GPT. I actually trained an LLM, a large language model, with my content, 814 pieces of my content between videos, blogs, articles, books I've written. So I trained my own LLM. So I've got Scott GPT. Why? Because if we ask Scott GPT a question, it answers in Scott. This is my content. Here's again the concern for AI. When you take an open AI, chat, Grok, Perplexity, put your favorite name here, they've been trained up with the world's knowledge. Now, some of them have had access to really good knowledge, and some of them have had access to knowledge, if you get my drift. And sometimes you'll get a 11th grade B minus answer. Now, I don't see anybody in this room that is an 11th grade B minus proprietor. You're all far better than that. So therefore, you want to make sure that you can give the best information you can give. So that's why we created Scott GPT. So when the answers come out, they're actually me. They're me in a past life or me in a past article or whatever. Spoiler alert, I really haven't changed that much over the years. I've been pretty much saying and doing the same thing for a lot of years because it works. Novel concept. Why change what works? Okay, where else? So now we're gonna we're gonna meet with people. Right now we've made our offer, and where can we use AI next? See, you understand we're taking AI and we're using it in each one of the steps. Where can we use it in the offer side? Well, we can use it in the confirmation of our call. Uh, if you're not using uh, any of the note takers these days, you probably should. Most of them are free, and then there's some that you can pay for. I actually use a video email platform. I don't write emails anymore. Or that's not true. I do emails where I actually type. But for the most part, I actually speak, same background. Hey, Nikki, this is Scott. I just want to thank you so much for our time earlier today. The information you shared with me was so valuable. I just wanted to say thanks so much. And that system actually AI transcribes, gives me the full transcript. So number one, I don't have to type. Number two, I can say it, what's on my heart right away. I can do it faster. And communication, sidebar, extra note here. Communication consists of three things: words, tone, physiology. The thing is, people focus on the words, but the words is only the smallest portion of communication, making the words dance, having inflection. Same, I can say hi, hi, hi. It's all the same word, but the communication is different because I put all three pieces in. The reason I use video email return is because now I have more full communication. By the way, it gets transcribed by AI anyway. So they get the full transcript. If they don't like looking at my face, they can just read the transcript. But I didn't have to type it. I just spoke it. So the other thing that does is it allows you to attach into your CRMs, your customer relations management system. I use Go High Level.
But
It's
I don't want to be a party pooper here. We just have a little about 3 minutes, just so
okay.
that at least you can wrap.
Thank you, Robert. So I use Go High Level. It's a phenomenal tool. You can, it's got AI in it, but you can also use AI to send to it from that side. Have you figured out I got 20 pounds of content in a 5 pound time slot here? Uh, let's see. Where should we go? The point is that as we go down the process, what I can use Scott GPT to actually role play objections. Hey, somebody gave me this objection. How should I best handle it? And I let my own GPT give me the answer. What else can you do? If you're in the sales biz, you're developing content. Everything is content. And so you can use AI for content creation and really pulling it together. You can use it for goal setting. You can ask it for how many, here are the metrics I've called 10 people, 6 people answered the phone. I had 2 conversations. Okay, so now I want to accomplish this. Use AI to set the goals. There's a lot of things you can do with it that are very powerful. I think because again, I've got far more stuff than we've got time. Does anybody have a burning question that they'd like an answer to? I think I'd rather use the minute that we have left for that if that's of value to all of you. Yes, Lena.
Totally being selfish. So I work B2C with individual clients. So how would you recommend I use AI to help me with my prospects? Like, for instance, let's say I had a conversation with a person, can I put their public Facebook profile in ChatGPT and say,
Yep.
okay,
You can put any of their social media process in. Give me an overall feeling for this person. You can put their website in. You can say based on what you find on their website, give me your uh, diagnosis is the wrong word, but it's the word that's
no,
coming
I
to
get
me.
it. I get it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you can do a lot of things like that. Again, it's all about what it does is it assimilates information very quickly. And because of that, that's where the advantage lies.
Scott, this was so good. I was doing it wrong all along.
Well, I know a guy that can help. I thank you all. Mary, do you have something quick?
I
We
just
got
have a very quick question. Is there a
this.
note taker that you suggest to use? Because I've tried 8 and I don't like any of them.
Fathom works pretty well. I use Fathom, I use Read, and I use Otter. So it depends. Fathom's free, Read is free
Okay.
to certain levels, right?
Awesome.
But I
Thank
mean,
you.
they're absolutely getting the notes is huge
Yeah.
because now people, here's the benefit to AI in sales. People can't say, I never said that because now you've got the record.
Yes. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you. My pleasure. Always available. I don't hide well. Scott@scottschilling.com. Reach out.
Thank you so much, Scott. We appreciate it. It was amazing.
Dr. B, you're muted again.
Thank you for Scott, because if I don't figure out, I need to just have my own special unmute yourself. Number one words in all of Zoom, unmute. All right. And so I am going to give you, you're not going to believe this, but I'm going to give you a 5-minute break. We're going to put a timer up here, come back. We are at the home stretch. I know some of you guys need a bio break because you've been sitting here for a minute with our theme of football still as we go through. So do whatever you got to do. You can just hang out. You can chat with people, whatever it is. But go to the restroom, get some more water, whatever it is you need to do. Go ahead and play the timer, Mr. Sid. Sid's a real person, I promise you.